Cool.
What's up?
What's up? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Instagram? This is episode 6 of the Urban Dance and Dialogue series, put on by Funk and Focus and Urban Artistry. We're out here in Holland, in how do you say this place?
Utrecht.
Utrecht. Yeah. So we're out here. We're chilling. I got Jing and Sam with me. We're out here hanging out in the background, hanging out. We got Jordana, Tawatha, and Jeffrey just chilling back there. They want to make noise so bad. So we got everything going. We got people joining the live on Instagram, and we're recording here. So today's topic is judging systems in urban dance competitions. The purpose, again, of this dialogue is to just start conversation. It's not to say that we have all the answers and that everything we say is the perfect way, but we're trying to get dialogue started. We're trying to get conversation started so that we can move forward in a better way. Judging systems being an interesting topic for urban dance because some things are starting to be developed in breaking. We don't see it a lot in popping and some of the other styles, but people are saying that we need these things. Other people are saying that the systems will water down the artistic side and the expression. Some people are saying, how do we know what's the perfect judging system? There can never be a perfect one. And I think that these topics and these questions are important. So we're really just opening up today to get some of these questions maybe answered or hear some new questions or comments, see what you guys think as well. We have Jing is going to be sharing in a bit about his system, the Kozin system, and breaking that down a little bit because he is a part of the movement that's creating something that's one of the judging systems that's, enhancing events. So this topic of what is enhancing events and what is not, how do we do that, the judging system. So for me personally, I believe judging systems are actually very important because from my experience, it helps with a few things. If there's a judging standard that's created for an event, the people actually kind of know what they're being judged on. So there's a lot of not knowing what you're being judged on going into the event. So people have confusion. So they want to express themselves, but they also think maybe this judge thinks this, maybe they think that, but you don't really know what each judge is judging on because they're different. They have different backgrounds, they do different types of movement. So there's just a lot of confusion around that. So that gives some clarity. Another thing that I like about having some standards is feedback. For instance, like usually some of the more typical, not as good of things that I've heard from judges with feedback is like, oh, you just got to feel it more. Oh, well, you weren't popping, or you need to work on your foundation is a big one. Oh, you weren't hitting the beat. You weren't in the music, These things are cool to hear, but it's not very thorough and in depth. So like personally, I think maybe scorecards and things like this and things that people can, not everybody wants to see their score because not everybody's going to have a good scorecard, obviously. But the people that are asking for feedback can say, hey, it's a way to keep judges sort of accountable, actually. It's a way to gain and have an experience where you learn something from being a part of a battle is say, hey, do you mind if I see my scorecard after this battle happened? Then you can look at your scores of what the judges gave you and say, okay, I got like a 2 in this. Like, why did I get a 2 in creativity? Then that's a bit more of a specific question, and maybe a judge can answer that in a better way and help the dancer out and help them to grow in some way. So I think for education purposes, it can be helpful for like learning and growing how to get better, and for clarity, knowing what we're being judged on. I also don't think that everybody has to have the exact same one judging system. I think maybe us in DC at Urban Artistry, we might have some for our events, and maybe people that would inspire other people to create some in another place. And like the idea of just movement analysis, movement evaluation, it's something we haven't really dug into in the urban dance scene deep enough yet. So I think it might start small. It might start in small pockets of people creating their own judging systems, and then hopefully people coming together to get inspired by what everybody else is doing and make something that we can say like, wow, we can start to agree that this is pretty fair. This seems pretty good. So that's kind of my spiel on judging systems, just real quick. I'm just going to pass it over to Sam to tell us a little bit about where his head is at with this topic.
Yeah, so my mind is really really about the responsibility of the judging. If you are in that judge seat, you representing a whole style, but of course there is more behind the dance style than only the dance movement. But let's keep it simple. If people ask you questions, they want to know why they go through the prelim or why they won the event, maybe.
Right.
If there are more clear systems, then we can do a better job as a judge as well. If there is more variety in the systems, that's also fun.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to have all the same systems like every battle, and it becomes not fun anymore.
Yeah. And earlier you also were mentioning like the responsibility of like when you're a judge, like that's actually like you're being an example, like that has influence when you go like this. Like that changes people's general opinion. Like this or this can change someone that might not know.
Yeah, true. There is all the faces go that way, right? Because he or she is the decision maker of what's right and wrong in the dance at that specific scenario. So I think we need systems. I think we need systems, more clarity, not only for the dancers but also the people who are watching. So like you said, for educational purposes, so that they can see like, hey, well, why is this person winning? Or what was he or she doing in that solo? So
So Jing, you want to tell us a little bit about Cozen, what it's all about, why you kind of created this system, how it's working, where it's at? Just give us kind of the rundown on.
Sure, no problem. First of all, I want to mention that Cozen is not just me, but I developed together with Nick as a b-boy from Rugged Solution, a b-boy crew in Eindhoven. And my stepfather was also a very important key person because he's the programmer, he's the coder who really realized the system on many levels. So, and on top of that, a lot of things I'm going to say, a lot of the information and a lot of knowledge I gained, I accumulated throughout the years, are not just solely from me. So I want to first give respect to a lot of people who I came in contact with, who helped developing whatever was at hand. People like Storm, people like Kevin, Renegade, some others, but those are very important people. Back to my story, the Cozen system. First of all, before us, there was, from my knowledge, there were other systems already developed, and one of the most popular, most recognized system was the Hour system from Dizzy, from Supernatural's crew. And he developed the system, I think he started in 1999, from what I recall, and started back in the States, but eventually he moved to South Korea because there was more funding for it, I believe, and there was more support, so he could really develop it more into depth. And Nick, he actually used that system as a dancer. He was a b-boy. He participated in event R16 in South Korea, and I'm not sure, but I think he lost a battle, and he didn't agree with the outcome and how the system, made that decision. Oh yeah, accompanied that decision. So from that point of view, he started to think for himself like, yo, should be a simpler, easier way to judge, to create a system that gives some clarity, some transparency, and whatever that can help. And so, because the system of our system of Dizzy, it uses criteria. So it uses 5 criteria. I'm not sure if I'm saying the right, but I think a few of them is like foundation, execution, dynamics, musicality, and dialogue. I think these are the 5, but I might be wrong, and so don't pin me down on that. But as a reaction to that system, um, Nick came up with the idea to, because we felt actually his intuition, Nick's intuition at that time, was that we are not ready yet to adopt criteria. We felt like criteria might have a future, but like at that time in 2012, we felt like this is way too layered and um, too complex to just pick a few criteria and and just make a system with it. I'm not saying that Disney just picked them randomly. He actually did a lot of field research. He went to a lot of OGs, b-boy OGs. He did a lot of confirmation. He got a lot of confirmation from them, and that's how he picked his criterias. But even with that said, we felt like to have criterias for the dance, we need to really, really, really assess them on a high level, like almost academic level, and to have a real study behind it before they can be utilized in a responsible way. So that's why we created our system. I mean, our system, our system, kind of confusing, but the coding system, let's put it that way. And that system, we kind of neglected. We don't want to purposely not use criteria, because we felt this was a better timing for that moment to have a system so only thing that we actually brought to the table was a round for one judging method. So because previously, before we did that, that wasn't done, um, from what we know of. Maybe people had done it, but not openly and publicly and distributed it. So what we did, we make it very clear that every round has its own result. So let's say we are the 3 judges, 2 dancers dance against one another. One dancer and the other one reacts right away after the first round. You have a vote, and that vote gives a point. So you win a point, and then you can win the majority of points to win a battle. So, and with that, the fact that we incorporated that element already changed a lot.
Yeah.
Because we didn't expect it. We thought, okay, well, we of course we anticipated a little bit about, okay, what can this bring to the game, and we thought, okay, it might give some more pressure on the judges, because they have to vote quicker decision, but also more often. Normally you only vote one time. Now all of a sudden you need to vote, like at least 2 or 3 times if you do a best of 3. And if you do crew battles and even best of 7, you need to vote even more. So that's I think that put more weight on the judges, and for that they need to be more responsible for every vote. So we thought, okay, that's good thing, because if we give their, if they are more stressed about that, they need to make better decisions. So so with that said, we thought, okay, that might be advantage. Also, we hope that because they vote more times, you can see a pattern of their vote, and also you can conclude from that pattern of voting that, oh, this judge, and then there was unanimous, whatever the voting might be, but you can draw conclusions from that. So that also gives a sense of feedback, like you mentioned before. So all that all together, we thought, okay, let's do this, and then we created it, and then we put it into practice. At the first event was in 2012. The event was called Break Junkies, 2 against 2 competition, 2 b-boys against 2 b-boys. And then we saw it in action, and then we saw the power of it. And first of all, just the battle was when like 2 opponents, when one is really clearly better than the other, it was very fast. So it was 1-2-0 finished. Or it was 1-2-3-0 with the best of 5, and the battle was finished. But there was one battle I recall really strongly, where there was like these 2 b-boys, they got 2-0 up front ahead of the other. So and then from the third round, the other side came back with 2-2 and eventually won the battle with 3-2. So they were actually behind and they came back. And this battle went really hype and really got the crowd really involved. And this is something we didn't anticipate on. We didn't know that it had that power.
It's like a sporting game.
It's
very much. Let's go, like the underdog team. Cool.
We didn't made it for that reason at all. We were surprised, like extremely surprised when we saw this happening. And then and I think that's became one of the unique selling points of the system, besides the fact that it also provides some transparency and feedback. It also had this entertainment value, and that's why a lot of events starting to adopting it and using it. And but now I think we need to keep on developing and keep on looking further, and definitely believe we shouldn't rely on one system. And I think the more different views, the more different perspectives, the better. And I think nothing should be totally engraved in stone. Like we should keep the whole platform and the whole format open as much as possible, so we can have a collective development as a culture.
What are some of those other perspectives so far with people that are creating judging systems? Like who's doing it, and are there some differing like opinions on ways that we evaluate dance?
So like I said before, there was first our system, then we came around the corner, and then another company they called End 8, and before they were called End 8 Dance, and B-Boy Storm is very much involved, and I also collaborated with B-Boy Storm at the very beginning of Kozen, because Kozen has also been adopted by Undisputed, the B-Boy World Series event, and we had many meetings where we discussed, okay, which system should we go for? So at this one point, they were deciding between the Hour system and the Kozen system. They choose Kozen, but they already knew, like, the opinion was already there that they felt they needed some kind of criteria-based system in the future. So there was already a development ongoing at that time, and B-Boy Storm was very much leading that part and to define those criteria. And right now they developed a system. It's called the Trivium system, and it's used for the Youth Olympics this year, the past year. And so that's another development, and it's also still ongoing. And and B-Boy Storm, and I think also Renegade Renegade Kevin, he also contributed to that.
You said that, didn't you say earlier that they don't use criteria with that one? You said it's not like a set, it's not like the Hour system, or is it similar to the Hours?
It's not similar, but they do use criteria, but they formulated the criteria differently. I gotta say that I'm not in depth with the whole system. I don't know all the details and a lot of it, but very generally, broken down, what I know is that they use 3 criterias, and these 3 actually Storm came up together with Drosha, Andrei Grekov, who was also a b-boy and very philosophical guy about dance, and is also my crew member, by the way. And a very shout outs. Yeah, I think I think he's really good at. He came in at the right point at the right moment. He really pinpointed these three criteria, and Storm kind of like totally felt that, and he won with it.
Yeah.
And but definitely giving props to Drosha. But these three were gotta give respect, right? So important. So but these three criteria were first of all the interpretative qualities. Second one, the physical qualities, and the third one, the artistic qualities. So from what I understood from these three different ways to pinpoint them is the interpretative qualities is how you react in a moment. So this is my own interpretation of it. So I might not be fully understanding of how Storm might have interpreted this, but this is my way of understanding that. So how do you deal with all the impulses that you get in the moment? So obviously for dancers and dance battles, the most biggest impulse we get is music. So and then besides that, of course, you also have to deal with impulses from your opponent, impulses from the crowd, the energy, the impulses that you get from the judges, maybe other people, and of course, environment, others, all this stuff. So eventually, you can kind of sum that all down to the performability of your dance. So that's kind of the interpretive quality. The second one is artistry, which is mostly about creativity, your personality, your character, how you flip things, how you change, how you just how you work with whatever is at hand. And the third one is what is it? Interpretive, artistic, and the physical quality. Yeah, the physical quality basically comes down to the dynamics. How do you use different forms? How do you use spatial foundations and techniques? And just to name a few. But there's a lot of gray area, I believe. So none of this is black and white. Don't look at it like that. It's a very it's a system, I think, and he calls it a trivium system. And I think trivium relates to a Latin word, I believe, or a Greek word, which means the come together the point when three roads meet or three things meet. And what Storm was saying, I think it also he explains this a lot on his YouTube channel, Storm Dance, and he refers to that the whole is always more than individual parts. So the everything together, you should always look at the whole and not just look at individual things. Yeah, and this was also, I think, a really important insight. Yeah.
So, as far as Kozen and that kind of systems, how do you see the dances change?
Yeah. Oh, very much. Yeah. So in the beginning, we saw that a lot of dancers had to get used to the Kozen system because it was judged round for round, and you get a verdict every round. It kind of influence your dance. So if you are, let's say, 1-0 behind, and your opponent get a point, it kind of disturbs you. So some dancers were caught off guard, like they felt and they got demotivated and in the dance, and so some dancers came to me. The first time I used it, I felt demotivated and I didn't want to go full power in the second round. But after a few times they used it, they got used to it, and then they got more better understanding of how to approach it. Some dancers even told me, yeah, now I've used it a few times. I know, I just don't want to look. So they just purposely don't look. So they don't want to be, they rather be ignorant and just be, like focused. And some dancers also said, like Mano, for example, so the B-boy, he really liked the system. For his, it works really well. So he can really strategize this dance as a B-boy. So it's very different. So everybody is very interpreting it very differently. And so the dancers change in that way in the moment they change, and yeah, besides that, I think also the community, because I was checking out the YouTubes and the comments, and now all of a sudden people are starting to give comments about judges more, like, yo, that judge was voting all the way against the other four judges. There were five judges, for example, and one judge was like consistently not voting the same way. And then that becomes very apparent, and then you can draw conclusions from that. Is it that he is biased? Is it that he just has a totally different theory about the dance, a different vision, or does he just have an off day? You don't know, or he was tired in a moment, or is he really political? You don't know, But also this changed. I saw this happening on, also in the community. So, but altogether, I think it adds on top of the awareness, because there's more conversation and more, and so
I think I'm pretty sure, like, with these types of systems, there is going to be a layer of like adapting. Like, there's going to be like a time period of people having to adjust and adapt to these new ways, to new things to think about, new things to be aware of when they're in that setting. And not only will it do that, it'll probably change the way people are training and practicing too, because now they know exactly like what might win a contest. If there's someone that's into that, of course, and then people will have different reactions. Some people will be like, well, I don't want to like train to win a contest because that doesn't feel like artistic to me, like I'm being myself. And other people that are really into winning contests will then say, okay, well, now I have a new way to train, but at least the gears are turning and people are adapting and evolving, like I see that as growth. When people are in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, they have to like push through it, but it's really, it's for evolution, it's for growth. It's not for something, it's for elevating. It's not for something to hold them back. It's actually something to lift them up, and to make things easier for everybody. Things a little clearer in the scene.
But at the same time, I gotta say, is while developing the systems and that these systems get more attention and get more into the community, I think it's really important. And the biggest pitfall of everything is that we shouldn't let the creativity be a victim. Like if the creativity becomes victimized, like becomes endangered, and if the systems, let's just the way that you said it, because I had this discussion before with B-Boy Dizzy, with his system, there was like 5 categories, right? 5 different criteria. So basically, B-boys could enter a competition just thinking, I need to check this box, I need to check this box, I need to check that box.
Right.
And that's not a good mindset, I think. But maybe for competition it is, but from the art point of view, the art form point of view, I think that's very limiting. And also, some systems might limit certain dancers from winning contests, because if you need to have these categories checked, and let's say you are more of a specialized dancer, you're not an all-round dancer, you cannot check all the boxes. You can, let's say you're only a power mover, then you have no chance winning an event, even if you do have a very broad vocabulary within your area of expertise. So it should allow for different approaches to the dance, and as open and as evenly divided as possible. But that's difficult. I think all these points are very, very valid to consider continuously, and we need to continuously assess them.
It sounds like the way you guys developed Kozen was to definitely leave that open, so that the creativity, it was almost left open for that reason. It's really interesting, because that kind of is the hard thing to evaluate, like the expression side. I'm just thinking in my head of like what elements of like the expression side and the feeling you get when someone's dancing. Like, what are those elements, and how would we evaluate those? Like if you think about people that have like a lot of expression, or a lot of character, or a lot of presence, like those words also are kind of broad words, so you don't know exactly what I mean when I say that. Like, oh, he had a lot of charisma. It's like, oh, okay, so did the other person have as much charisma? Well, this guy made more faces, and this guy was just lost in their world.
Yeah.
So then it's like, then it becomes tough. How do you
measure that?
How do you measure that thing?
Yeah.
And what fits in those categories of expression? Like, just before you go, just a couple things that pop in my head is like, this is what pops in my head when I think about expression and presence, is like how comfortable you look out there, how, let's say, how like comfort, poise, like projecting your character, maybe like characters.
Presentation.
Yeah, presentation, how you present, like, I don't know if delivery would fit in there, but maybe the way you present something, the feeling of how you present something.
Yeah.
Just sort of like your overall kind of, but then energy again. It's like, it's all these big words. So I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to put a few things in my head. But go ahead with what.
Yeah. Again, referring back to Storm, he explained this really well on his YouTube channel, and he made a comparison between, if you would say, okay, you have different people with different length, and you put them on a, against the wall, and you draw a line. You can see, okay, this guy is longer than this guy, and this guy is longer than this guy. But if you compare two persons, and you put them on a weight, on a balance scale, you don't need to see how much he weighs more. You just know, okay, this guy weighs more because the scale changes like this, right? And with that, I think also when you have a dance battle, you don't need to say exactly how much someone is better at something, or how much more faces he made, but you can just say, okay, he made more than him. Like that. You don't need to always quantify, and I think that is a good thing, because then you don't need standard, and I think standards can kill the creativity. If you put a standard like, this is the best way to do it, to do a certain thing, then there's no way to top that, right? So you already put the limit there. So, and I think if you compare it, you don't put it, you don't leave that alone, and you can have more open, more open, how you can, how to
that's
define
nice.
the winner. Yeah,
that's nice. That gives also the people who are judging an opportunity to also add to the system eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like there's nothing specific coming to mind, but if everybody is so strict on every category, we building an army of dancers, and if there is a gray area, that's also the beautiful thing about this artistic battles, right? Then eventually we get richer, and hopefully make also a bridge to other platforms, so people maybe also perform or do they call out battles, and then they transition between all those scenarios, and where they have that competition mindset, or really want to prove a point.
So let's see. I want to throw some questions out for the Instagram and the YouTube, so we can also get community, the online community dialogue going. So let's just throw a few questions out there. Do you think dance is a sport or not? Do you feel that judging criteria ruins creativity, or do you feel like there can be a way to work around that? How might you guys go around doing that? And even just movement evaluation. I'm curious what people are looking for. When you're watching a dancer, what are you looking for? That might even be something we could talk about too. It's like, what are, like, because that might be different for you, for me.
Definitely.
It's definitely, yeah, it's
Very
definitely
personal.
going to be different. Yeah, I hope it's different.
Yeah.
We have an
Yeah.
army of, we all do that. So
We keep it going, guys. We keep it going.
we're the judges. All right, so I'm gonna scroll through some of the Instagram. Feel free to add comments, questions. Again, the topic is judging systems in urban dance. What experiences have you guys gone through where maybe you wish there was a judging system? That could be interesting too. Something that happened that you felt, man, it would be a lot better if there was a judging system at this event because this happened. So, all right. Instagram. Let's see what happened. Oh, lordy lord. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, let's go through this. Quick. Someone said Dr. Dre. I don't know why.
That's Dre is Russia.
Oh, okay. Oh,
We
okay.
call him Dr. Dre.
Okay, so
his real name is Andre, and we call him for short.
All right, this is for you, Jing.
Oh, yeah.
Stephanie Dudley says, does your judging system account for the evolution of styles? Also, is there anything in place to help prevent bias of mentors to students?
Yeah, I think we little bit already talked about that. The Cozen system, we leave that open. So we don't have criteria. So there's no way we limit any form of creativity. So yeah, from our system, no.
Yeah.
Cozen system, no.
Yeah. That's a pretty straightforward answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. Okay, Tawatha. Wow. Hi, Tawatha. You're in the room and you're online. All right. Yeah, keep the questions coming. This is good. This is what we want. Tawatha says, I was wondering, since these systems are mostly made for breakdance, which might be more seen as a sport than other dance competitions like hip hop, popping, house, locking, are these systems also good for the other dance styles?
Very good question. I think for Cozen, but again, because we don't have criteria and because we only implemented round for round judging, it's very open. So it can be implemented for any styles. So we started off with b-boying, with a lot of b-boy events, but I think in 2014. Battle Bad in France was the very first event that gives the system a chance for stand-up dance, and that's why we first time we saw it works just as fine for stand-up because we don't have any criteria. For the other system, the one from Storm, the one from N8, the Trivium system, I'm not sure how much that one will be suitable for other styles than b-boy. I don't know, but I spoke to them. They said it should. They told me it should. It should. Their purpose is also to develop a system that's as universal as possible, and that's can be adapted for different styles. But I'm not sure about their system.
Yeah, I feel like we need it so bad. Like we have to have some sort of criteria and systems for styles outside of breaking. Like breaking's kind of ahead of the curve with that. They've taken steps that the other styles really should start. People should start coming together and start having these conversations and talking about what's the best way do we want to approach this kind of as a community maybe, or as a group of people that are getting together. Because again, there's a lot of complaints about judging. There's a lot of also biased judges. There's judges that will also tell you this, which is another one of my favorites. Man, your style was so good, but you know how I love those hard hits. So, like that's just my bias. I had someone tell me, well, he didn't say bias, he said my personal preference. So I've heard that a lot. Okay, this I chose for this guy was better than this guy with waves because that's my preference, because that's the way I move more. So imagine in court or something, or like in a real judge area, like someone just saying like, I'm not looking at all the facts here, I'm not being open to all the possibilities of what could have happened. I just, I don't like black folks, so this person's guilty, or whatever it may be. It could be anything, but it's a bias. It's just what you like. So that's what I really don't like. That's one of the biggest things where I feel like we need systems for all the styles, because it's so much like, that's my preference, and then I'm thinking, well, you kind of just told me that that's your bias against me. You're saying that I understand more of what this person's doing because they might move like me, or I taught them, or whatever it may be. And it's just kind of like, well, damn, like, what about like, respect for the people that taught me, or my approach to the dance? Like, can I get some love too? Like, can I get some love? And
yes.
So I think we need them. I think we need people. Let's take it. Maybe even it needs to be done by style. Maybe poppers need to get together and talk about this. Like, get a group of poppers together.
Have them way too less. I mean, I think there are quite some people who are doing this, and like I think a lot of people doing it in their minds, by themselves, and they don't share. There's no conversation, but there are so many, like, I think, intellectual people in our scene, our community, who have so good thoughts behind their reasoning, and if those are more spoken out, like more discussed, I think collectively we will have, create more awareness, and we can start really building on top of the awareness. Because awareness is one thing, but we need also to build. I think, because if there's only awareness, you're not building something. I think you're building only the awareness.
Right.
But if you actually build a system and then you put it out there, it might not be the best solution. But then you can see, okay, this works, that doesn't work. We can shoot this thing down. We need to upgrade this part. Blah blah blah. But then there's something in the field. There's something out there, and then more awareness can come from that. And then this can be a chain of reaction, a snowball effect that can lead to better systems.
Yeah, exactly. There are two points that I would like to add. What I see with a lot of dance battles is like they have judges they represent one category, but they judge all the categories. So, for example, just the book. And I see a lot of confusion there too. Like people don't know so much about the style, but they still have to make a decision about that. And then also the time frame in where a dancer can represent his or herself. It's so short.
The 1 minute, right?
The 1 minute, 45 seconds. Sometimes it's even worse because there are so many people and they get 25 seconds. I saw that also, like 25 seconds flying across the board. Those are two things that I believe can. A lot of people heard them talk about, but like you said, the awareness is there, but we have to take action in that. Not just throwing you a event out there for, all right, we just do it this time, and the next time we will do it better. So no, let's take a little bit more time organization wise, and let's see what we can do to build for a better event.
I think this might go a little bit outside of the judging systems, but just the idea of new systems, new formats for events. Like, judging systems is one thing that can enhance events, but also formats can help, with
so important
with things. And like, just as an example, like in DC we have the Book of Styles, and the Abyss, which is a cipher battle for an hour, and the Book of Styles is more like a educational battle where the format is challenges with certain styles, and like what I found from those new formats is that the audience is actually being educated, because instead of just watching a popping battle, now they're saying, oh, this person has to do the twistoplex thing. Okay, oh, interesting. And then now they know what's going on.
Yeah.
It also makes the dancers actually have a conversation and movement.
More deeper.
Yeah, it actually even makes it easier to judge because you see waves versus waves.
Exactly.
Instead of like waves versus boogaloo or robot versus boogaloo or whatever the case may be. So it's like there's the jack of all trades with Monster Pop's thing. There's people doing different things, and all of them are good because they're challenging this idea that I really don't one thing, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I don't know why dance battles were ever set up in a 45-second 1 minute one-on-one thing tournament style, because it seems like if it's a dance that came from like the clubs and the ciphers, but then we just adopted like a different tradition for competition. So like for us in urban artistry, we're trying to go back to the source, which is like the cipher. If that's culturally the place where people actually were creating and doing these dances, why don't we make a competition form that it is based around ciphering? That's just our thing, instead of this, because people, if you do a cipher, everybody gets to dance, everybody gets time. You can make a long time limit. This, people leave saying, man, I only got to dance 45 seconds today. And then there were no ciphers in between the battles. So different formats can be helpful. So the other project that we've been working on is the digital book. So Jing created for Rashad and I a digital book of styles. So we debuted it this year at our event, but it's basically a digital randomizer that flips the styles, and whatever it lands on, you got to mix that into what you do. And we do it cipher style as well, so it's just raw, and people are just going in, and it just flips, and you see it on the projection, and that's kind of how it's done. But I think like formats, systems, in all shapes and form, like poppers getting together to talk about all of that is really important. And like you said, putting some action in place so that we can see, okay, this works, this doesn't, let's tweak that.
Exactly.
And move.
Trial and error. Definitely. And definitely what you said, the system, the format, different formats can bring out different cultures into competition. I think that's what we need more. If it's too much competitive everything, then becomes, you're gonna lose a lot of the richness that our culture has to offer. And I think you need to create a platform, and the formats, they can create this platform that allow different different elements of the culture to open up. It should be, I think, the more you can create that kind of platform, the more better. Definitely. And I think to regard your question and how did it came about, this one-on-one and that 1 minute thing, I think it's just the practicality. Just practicality. It was just the most simple way to put it into a competition form, and it shouldn't be the most simple way. It should be the best. What should be the best way? And and I think that was only the practical way, and it's very practical, and that's why it's become almost like a trend.
It's a trend.
As a standard. But also coming back to your point about Just a Boo, all these 4 categories, and also I spoke to Brucey Kanji, who is also very much always busy with thinking how to improve the culture. So I think he's very, very into whatever that helps. But at the same time, he also struggles with a lot of, practical things, and more. There are more different, more layers of.
It's not that easy
problems
for such a big.
It's not. But so sometimes you just got to choose for 4 judges because it's more practical. But this year, what I know that they did to give back, to listen to their audience, is they incorporated crowd voting. So that's another thing, and maybe you guys saw it. And so the crowd, I think, but I'm not sure again how it works exactly, had a portion that they could dedicate their vote, but only, I think, only during a tie decision. So only on during a tight decision, the crowd could add there. But I'm not sure if I'm right about this. But I don't. The reason I'm saying this is not to exactly explain their system, but the fact that they are also listening to the community and also trying to, find new ways to, to solve a lot of problems that occur. So things are happening, but yeah, some things are difficult to, especially when the event is just a book, which is so big, they cannot change radically. So I think maybe radical things we need to try out at smaller events. That's and we can really give that. We can take the damage if there is going to be damage,
right,
and then we can see how it works. But yeah, but I think it's good that they took the risk and they showed that they wanted to change for the better. Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Oh, surprise, surprise, Tawatha. Tawatha has another question for us. Tawatha says, what kind of criteria would you use for popping competitions, for instance, if you can organize your own battle? Okay, everybody's going to have a little bit of a different take on that.
Yeah.
Kind of like your base. Maybe that's the question of what are you looking for in a great popper or in a great popping round, maybe?
Yeah, something that comes to mind with me is like, what if you do like an OG, to judge an OG, somebody who's maybe not so long in the scene, but still really, involved for a long period of time, and then more like an older panel, people that really really represent this dance through the years out, and not only they won like a lot of competitions in, let's say, 5 years, and then they are on the seat. But what about if we if we have people here we have people like Lloyd or Silas or people like that. What would happen if they would have the chance to be the judge, to see their decision and the way that they think about the dance. I think that's interesting, but I think on the flip side, a lot of people would not understand that, because people that dance in the competition see the people that dance in the competitions, and
but also that's pretty much what's happening. Like, they're just more famous people than others. Like, the people that are the famous OGs, like, people are comfortable with that. It's just that they might not be used to seeing like a Lloyd or something up there. Yeah. So like maybe.
Yeah, if you ask me, we can try a lot. We know what works. We know what brings the people in. Like, for example, what I liked about Just the Boo was a women's panel. Only women.
Yeah.
Where the women at?
Yeah.
They are there.
Yeah.
They so I think we can do a great job. We have already the Book of Styles, the Jack of all trades. That's what I know. Also, as the different events in the b-boyings, a lot of things going on. But we can definitely just try stuff. Have 5 judges. Right?
Yeah, I think the more judges, the better.
Yeah, right.
Because it's creativity. Judges. The more different subjective views. And collectively, the better objective.
Yeah.
Thing you can get from it, I think. So, well, yeah, like you said, it's like I think the whole movement of judging systems is very much at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like at the very, very beginning. So I think it's okay to, make some mistakes, but at the same time, it's very sensitive, I think. Because of this so sensitive, the culture is very sensitive. If you make too much big mistakes, people are gonna, shoot it down. So we also need to be careful at the same time what you put out there, and so the approach need to be very responsible. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that can be improved. Yeah. Another thing that comes to mind is consistency between the different battles, because if you be judged, and like at the one competition, and you go to another competition and you dance, let's say for a b-boy, exactly the same set. It could be that you have exactly the same set, and you don't win at the next competition, but you won at this competition, and this and that just creates so much confusion in the community. Like, I think consistency is also important. That's why the more we have common understanding, that's why we talked about before, and that balance between the common understanding of everybody and the subjective views, if that's in balance with one another, then I think it's more healthy. But if the moment one outweighs the other, let's say if there's too much subjectivity and everybody's just totally different in their opinion, then how are you going to have consistency? There's going to be no consistency. But if there's too much commonality, if everybody has the same view about the dance, where's going to be the creativity? Everybody's going to want to look for the same thing in a dance. Everybody, so that balance is, and I don't say this, there shouldn't be a stable balance, but it should maybe be, it should be dynamic too. The balance can change throughout the years, and like some kind of balance, I think, is necessary.
Tawatha, I'll answer your question.
Oh yeah.
I'll answer your question a little bit more directly.
Oh,
so I Urban Artistry and myself, we're working on a judging system. It's not finished, but it's like there's certain criteria, so it's something that we're going to start testing soon with our events back home, because we want to be on this forward-thinking train of like trying to create progress and different things with the judging system. So for me, like, the judging system has to do with kind of the way I look personally at dance. Like, and for me, popping is just one of the dances, right? So like, I think about it, like the criteria that I'm usually thinking about for popping and just dance in general is like foundation, like traditions, and that's not like a one way is the best way thing. That's like there's a lot of ways to be foundational and a lot of ways to, like, it's okay to represent a lot of communities, so like I can judge on that because I've done some of that work. I've connected with a lot of different people from different communities for popping. Not everybody will see it that way because they haven't done that, right? So my idea of foundation is like broad. This could be foundation. This could be, these guys did it like this. This is how they did it foundationally. But like, I think about foundation. Of course, creativity is important. Presence is really important. Like character, how comfortable you are, controlling the energy, the situation, and actually, for me, this is really important. General body movement. Poppers have a really bad tendency to not use their body, their whole body. Use all the parts, go down, stand up, turn, travel. Like, people are becoming, in my opinion, they're becoming sort of minimal with popping. Sometimes we forget that, oh, I have a body, I can use this thing, I can use it in a lot of different ways. So I think general body movement is actually really important for me, and also being musical, which again, there's not one way to be musical. There's a lot of different ways. So I don't want to break it down too much because I'm working on this to like have it solid and tested and all this. But like, I do see dance sort of like almost similar to the hours system. I can visualize it in 5 categories. And for me, it's different than his, but mine are more like foundation, creativity, general movement principles, presence, and being musical. So when I'm watching a popper, I'm, even with my students, I can use those 5 things to say, okay, where are they strong? Where are they a little bit weaker? But for me, I use it to like help people get better at dance, So I think of that a lot, but not as like it's the only way or it's the best way type of thing. Just as it's like, it's a possibility. So, okay, the Instagram live is about to end.
Oh, really? Oh,
Peace out, Instagram. If you're on Instagram, go to Funk and Focus YouTube. We'll be on there for a little bit longer. Thanks for tuning in every Sunday. Urban Dance and Dialogue, Funk and Focus. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Cool.
Okay. Let's see what. Oh, YouTube. YouTube's cracking. Oh shoot! All right. I think instead of musicality, it was originality foundation. Oh, he's talking about for the hour system.
Yeah. I wasn't.
Foundation, originality, battle, execution, dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I understood is that he put musicality into foundation. So I know.
Oh, really?
Because for Dizzy, from his research, I think I remember that he found that musicality should be part of foundation because you got to be musical. That's wonderful.
Right.
You got to resonate with music always.
This is nice. This is
That's
nice.
dope,
that opened the conversation up about those things. Foundations. You hear it a lot. Like you should work on your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You should work on your musicality, and then as a judge, you have the opportunity to also explain what that means to the people.
Yeah, education.
Yeah,
because even think of the word foundation. For me, it's more than movement. Foundation is like who you are, how you came up. Like foundation could be so broad.
Mm-hmm.
Like foundation, like for me, it's foundational in popping to be innovative.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's like if you're not doing your own thing, then you're missing something foundationally, something very important. So I'm like, for me, it's like music is foundation, like innovation is foundation, like everything is like these are some things that are very foundational that will help you.
So creativity is actually in foundation. So that's what I said. That's exactly my thought too. All these criteria, it's good to divide them. At the same time, don't look at them as black and white. There's so much overlapping areas.
Yeah.
So it does help a lot now. I can understand now the point of view where you as a judge have categories to look at, but not too much, right? Depending on how long the dancer is dancing, and then at the same time, also have the opportunity to look at it as a whole. But those are just guidelines.
Yes, exactly.
For them to make a clear and more honest decision.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely important to look at that as a whole. Because as you dance, you're telling a story. It's not as a sport. When you like a lot of sports, also Storm explains this because really you guys should talk to Storm. I think he's really good involvement for the world.
It would be awesome to have him because basically each episode I'm gonna start doing like part 1, part 2 because I want these to be continuing conversations, not just when we just do it and then that's it. Like
definitely.
I have certain times, so I'm really happy that you guys joined me for this one. But I think it's awesome that we keep these going, and I would love to have Storm, Dizzy, Renegade, like all these people that are thinking like this. I'm interested. Keep this thing going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So we got some other things. So Romulus says expression is the most important aspect of doing street dance. He says, I think it is an art first and a sport second. He asks, is it possible to come up with a universal judging system in popping? How would it produce fair results? That's what Talitha asked. So we were talking about that. We got some work to do in that department.
Definitely.
A lot of work. Audience is bringing up jack of all trades. Then audience says, would categorize battle into music genre help dancers bring out more creativity? I think that's what Free Spirit Festival did.
Yeah. They used
what
is
it?
Too.
What did Free Spirit?
Free Spirit Festival. They had it's like a week. So it's like a festival, and they have workshops. They have different kind of battles. I think one of the battles was oriented around live musicians. So there was like an African category, I think, genre of music and percussion, like stuff like this. And
they did competition with the music category?
With the music genres.
Gotcha.
and that was pretty interesting. And also they used also the coding system for the 2-on-2 battle.
Okay.
So I was there,
Yeah.
and they brought a lot of different things.
Did it have the genre? How did that affect things? Did it have the same genre for like, and then they could do whatever style?
Exactly. There
Was
was
that
no style limits.
Yeah.
So just do your style,
Yeah.
on the music. Yeah, and they had different genres.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Pat Eastwood. I think the best would be to require events to publicly publish the criteria the dancers will be evaluated on. Okay, good ideas. Different format of competitions may provide more opportunities to dancers with different approaches. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole idea, is like to be inclusive and to give everybody a place to grow, and community. We want people to be growing and becoming more aware and getting experiences. So this guy, Pop Tech, time to get the funk down, was the best format I've ever been to. For an hour and a half, everyone had to battle each other. Each had 2 rounds of over a minute, and you had change, so it felt like you went through. I can't tell if that's like a cipher thing or if they're just dancing all over the place with what he means by that. Everyone had to battle each other. Each had 2 rounds of over a minute, and you had change. And you had,
Probably had some structure, but he's saying it
battle
briefly.
People that you could battle only if past the prelims. Atmosphere was great. Everyone was happy. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he means, but it kind of sounds like it's some sort of maybe a more cipher type format, or like a thing where people are just getting down. Idol the Black Sheep, yo guys, hello.
It's really good.
And congrats for the broadcast. I wanted to ask something out of the topic, but do you think certain environments help certain formats? And how can we export more ideas to help the scene and foreign and unknown scenes? Do certain environments help certain formats?
Like which environments is it?
I think maybe if you look at let's say Summer Dance Forever, the environment is very close and intimate, and they have a crowd judging format.
Stage,
And then that helps with making the crowd be involved.
And maybe and like Jack of all trades also, they're very like, it's set up like it's a jam, right? And then by the time the battle comes, then that's on the stage, and regular people from the city come in to watch the show.
I saw
that's why the host is really important to explain what the concept is, because these people that might not be watching dance, they get it explained. Okay, this person's doing this, then they're doing that. So it's actually an educational experience for the audience, as well as the dancers. So in that case, I think that environment makes sense with that format, why he does it that way, and what his goals are is to like get other people that aren't dancers involved. So that's cool. I think
it's really actually
it's
it reminds
to think about it as organizers, like what is the environment that we want to create.
So I think we spoke about this like last time at Soul Cypher at an event, and we spoke about the interview that Otis Funkmeyer did with Monster Pop, and there was one topic that came around, which was how do you organize an orchestra, the whole environment, the vibe, so important.
The lights,
everything. The lights. And also he spoke like, if you have certain people who like to make a lot of noises, like to hype things up, put them right at the floor.
Exactly.
It's like and make them shout, to hype people, like
hype it up.
But of course it shouldn't be, like put into scene, it shouldn't be fake, but of course but at the same time I do understand his point. Those people, a lot of those people, they create the vibe. I was in China like that 1.5 months ago, and they had IBE China. And I don't know if you've ever been to IBE, but IBE is also a festival, and it's all about having fun, atmosphere, vibing, and the competition is almost like a little thing on top of it, you know? Yeah, right. But now I was in IB Asia. There was no vibe. It felt like really flat, you know. Like people were only cheering at the blow ups, you know, and only at the really, really, you know, interesting.
Yeah.
So they didn't understand the more subtle
things,
of the culture. So I really missed that. So that's how I think it's so important.
Yeah. I think that's so. I like how Marspop talked about like setting it up so that not to over orchestrate it, but just in a way that if you do X, Y, and Z, then naturally humans are gonna do this. Like, and you kind of this is the effect when you set this here and this there. This is what's hopefully gonna happen, and you know, then hopefully that just organically goes.
Exactly.
Also, I think venue is so important, like size. Like one of the worst feelings is being in a contest where it's not intimate and it's too much space and people aren't filling the space.
Especially with popping.
Oh my god, yeah, because we already danced kind of small, and then you got this large floor, this huge room, and you just feel like the space is swallowing you. You feel swallowed up. You feel like you're not doing enough. I'm not doing enough because I gotta get way over there. I gotta go, you know, and then like, but something about when people are, like if it's like a medium-sized venue and people are filling it and then it gets nice and tight in the center, there's a nice little circle, you know, like I like events when people like sit fairly close with the circle and, you know, like people stand up at the end, you know, for like the last round or whatever, like just have people, because when people are standing in a circle, I feel it's very organic and natural. Something about that. And when you're standing, you want to be engaged more than when you're like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like little stuff like that makes such a big difference.
Yeah,
so big difference.
That connection has to be there. Yeah.
Actively, not passive. Make you become active. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else is going on. Just tuned in. It would be great to be open on the criteria they're judging on and to make different conceptual battles. Cool. Pop Tech, yes, it felt like Cypher, but you went against each other for 2 rounds and changed with other people for 2 rounds. It was just a prelim, but it lasted. Okay, cool. So it was like a Cypher, but then people would like trade a few rounds. Kevin says like IBE Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Who's this right here?
Kevin's a friend of us.
Oh, okay.
It's a locker.
Yeah, we did. Is he talking about? Maybe he's talking about how I said people standing up for the final. Maybe we did that at IB.
Yeah,
the year I was there.
Final.
Yeah, and you
just go.
Yeah, you guys did. Yeah, that was dope.
Has to stand.
Yeah. So okay, so that was what year? When was that? It was
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice final. So by the time it got to the final, it was IBE 2 years ago, Funk IRC, and it was a 15-minute final when everybody stood in a cipher, and it just
the popping one. Right?
A lot, the popping, and just that was the best I had seen those 2 guys dance actually.
The whole day, together.
That was like those were their best rounds. They brought something out of them.
Yeah, they got better and better.
And
they got better each
on each other.
Oh Moy and Gator, remember?
Yeah.
Oh Moy and Gator. Yeah.
So nice. I think we can just conclude it from there. Thank you guys. Thank you, Sam, Jing, for coming on the show.
Like I want to end by also saying like we have work to do. You know, like we know what's happening, and if I hear people good, they wanna change things. So let's do that. You know, let's try some new stuff out. You know, let's reach out to people like Jing, Storm, or you, or whatever, who have ideas about how we change those things.
Yeah, if you're other poppers or people of other styles, like I mean specifically poppers, all of us are poppers, like, and you're having these conversations, feel free to reach out to us, because we're definitely interested in like getting more people involved in this conversation, and I'm sure there's other people that are already talking about it. So hit us up and let's keep this thing going and see where we can go with it. So
yes,
keep going.
Here we go.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Oh shit! Oh wait, I have to be like them.